to Single Muslim Live on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. I'm your host and relationship expert, Fahima Mohammad. I welcome you all today, dear viewers. I hope you're having a blessed Ramadan, and I know you're streaming from across the globe, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on Sky, Freeview, and I welcome you all to the show today. Inshallah, we will be hopefully entertaining you with some amazing tips and strategies. And with me today, I have a really amazing, lovely guest, Sister Najwa. Assalamu alaikum. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure. As we've been doing the shows week by week, I just want to remind the audience that this is obviously a show for helping people that are struggling to find relationships. It doesn't matter what stage you're at, and each week I have different sort of themes, and you can definitely please call into the studio. I'd love to hear any of your comments or questions, and hopefully we can help you. The phone number is at the bottom of your screen, 01924231083. Again, 01924231083. I hope to hear people calling into the studio. But yes, I will try and read out some of your comments as well, inshallah, as we go throughout the show. Well, today's theme is about discussing relationships within millennials. Okay, what does that mean? These are young individuals, probably in their sort of like mid sort of 20s or early 20s, that are struggling to find a relationship. Not everybody is struggling, but there are a percentage of you who are. And with me, we have Najwa, who is actually a young millennial herself. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What exactly do you do when it comes to relationships? Like, what are the platforms do you find that is most useful? And secondly, what are the challenges while finding relationships in today's generation?
That's really funny you should ask, because I don't really date. Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah, I don't really date. But if I was, I usually would speak to someone over social media. I think the easiest ways to get to know people these days is like through Instagram or Twitter, just finding out that you have similar interests and then going off from there. I don't find dating apps helpful. I think they're just a bit too much pressure for our generation. And in terms of like difficulties, I think it's kind of the main difficulties that we kind of experience in this generation is people wanting to seem as though like they don't care. So people will try and like take as long as they have to reply to a text, just so it seems that they're not like too interested. And so I felt like I used to think, it's okay for girl does that, but it seems as though like guys are more and more doing that kind of thing now, where it's like they don't want to seem too interested. So we're in this weird kind of place where men don't really want to make the first move, and then girls that do are seen as being too forward or like, I don't know, like man eaters or whatever. But it's kind of it's an oxymoron. It's kind of difficult, but that's probably why a lot of people are in massive relationships nowadays. It's kind of like here, there, everywhere. And there's loads of different types of relationships right now. So yeah, I think that's probably why I'm single.
You've highlighted quite a lot and you've said quite a bit. And what I pick up on really is, the struggles is obviously the different platforms that you use. And I get what you're saying about dating sites, but there have been a lot of successful stories. And, we have to understand. So I also have another guest with us today, actually. Thank you so much for joining me. Assalamu alaikum, Naima. Robert, thank you so much for joining me. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you. Salam. Yes, as we were just talking about relationships and the challenges that we find today, especially amongst the youngsters, the millennials, and Sister Najwa here was explaining that she finds that people are not that serious, or the platforms are not actually giving people a chance to actually portray their true self, because a lot of the times maybe there's mind games. People feel that at the end of the day, they have to hold themselves back because, they want to project in a particular way because there's limiting beliefs, whether or not, you answer too quickly or you don't answer enough. And that's the kind of image that people think that it has to be. And do you think that comes from, Naima, do you think that's some sort of certain influences out there which is not necessarily giving the right impression as to how to approach people today?
Well, Bismillah. I mean, Najwa, of course, is the certainly the one to speak on this, but I think it's really helpful for us to bear in mind the context in which all of this is taking place. The general culture that's kind of this very much belonging to this generation is pretty much hookup culture, a lot of, like she said, all sorts of different relationships, situationships,
Yeah.
Like we used to use Facebook and say, oh, it's complicated, right? I think even more complicated for this generation because they're navigating, the hookup culture. Can
you explain to me what do you mean by the hookup culture?
Well, okay, so Najwa can correct me to make sure that I'm not kind of bringing my analysis of American society and superimposing it on British society, because I could be wrong. But in the sort of popular culture, what you've seen is, over the last sort of 10 years or so, five to 10 years, a move away from dating, from courting, from kind of commitment, and much more about having physical relationships and just hooking up with people.
Right.
To the that a lot of people in college will talk about college and say, there was no dating, like just hooked up. So let's go out for a drink, let's go out for a meal, let's talk. It was like, I like you, you like me, let's do this. So that's the backdrop. And when you're not in a kind of a place where, around you, people are talking about developing relationships, it can be difficult to get those skills because where are you get them from?
That's true. Absolutely. We're not born with, and we're not taught with these skills. I just want to quickly remind the viewers, you can call into the studio and ask myself or the guests any of these questions or any challenges you're facing. The number of the studio is 01924231083. We are live on British Muslim TV. Welcome all of you who are streaming from across the globe and in different platforms. We have with me Sister Najwa and we have Sister Naima. So please do call in, and it would be lovely to hear some of your comments. Again, as Sister Naima was mentioning, you are a coach, you are an award-winning entrepreneur and author, and you have experience from a different generation. But I think, I think today we need to bridge that sort of gap with the generations and help each other out. Najwa, when you're listening to Naima speak here, do you find that is quite correct with regards to people not committing and finding it where they just want to have sort of like just the intimacy physically and that's about it? And, they'll say and do whatever they can, but we obviously need to consider our Islamic and our faith. And do you think our Muslims today are missing that point?
100%. I think Naima hit it on the nail on the head, like, honestly. I feel like a lot of people kind of see this idea of like non-Muslims dating around for these alternative reasons and their ulterior motives, just to do whatever they want to do. But they forget that as Muslims, as young Muslims, we exist in that same society that normalizes that. So people kind of forget that we too are navigating this whole complex of deen and having to understand that, marriage is the way to go. But then there's this generalization and this normalization of just like, hookup culture and no commitment. And the stories that I hear personally from the people that I know and even just online and social media, these stories, is that Muslim guys, like teenagers or young Muslim guys, are finding their own ways to kind of manipulate young girls to achieving the same ulterior motives, but then using deen or using Islam to justify it. So it's like, it's definitely an issue that is pervasive in our community, but I feel like people kind of forget about young Muslims in that sense. So I feel like dating apps and normalizing dating and halal dating is really, really important, because it takes away from the potential of men or women manipulating their way into haram situations instead of just understanding or accepting that they have desires or that they have these emotions or they want to feel loved or wanted or whatever it is. but normalizing that so that it can go through a more healthy route instead of it becoming really like destructive and ripping our community apart. Yeah,
you've highlighted some amazing points there. I mean, Sister Naima, what Najwa has sort of like highlighted right now has given us even more insight. Before I come back to you, actually, I do have a phone call online. Salaam alaikum. Welcome to British Muslim TV. You're live. What would you like to say?
Sister, I've just joined up last week. My name's Abdul Rahim Al-Malik. I'm a very honest person. I've got a big heart and everything, but I seem to be getting blocked by a lot of the sisters online. And I've asked them, I've even posted online saying I'm a very honest person. If I'm offensive, I do apologise. Please tell me. But I'm not getting any feedback. I'm saying stuff. I'm answering questions, and I'm just getting shut down all the time. And I can't understand why they say they want an honest guy, but they don't like listening to honesty. Or when they ask a question, they don't seem to like the answers.
What kind of honesty are you talking about that you're saying and you're getting shut down by these people? What do you mean by that?
Just general questions. I don't know if I'm putting it in a way what they find offensive, but you see, usually on the streets or when you meet people, I'm a quiet person. I get to know people before I'm outspoken, but on internet, it's like it's new to me. It's the first time I've done it. So I'm just trying to be straight, blunt and honest, because obviously a lot of sisters are saying, I don't want to be wasting time. I want to get to know someone. I like to know who you are and what you're about. And as soon as you start talking,
of course. Yes, I mean, thank you so much for your question. I will try and get some of the sort of feedback from some of the sisters that are watching and, you know, as my guest here today. Thank you so much for your call. I just want to say, Sister Naima, from listening firstly to Sister Najwa, she was talking about obviously from a woman's perspective, but as we have this caller, I think it can sometimes work both ways as well. I don't want to say that it's only men that can be manipulative. As much as we hear that, I think it is nowadays women as well doing the same thing, and there are games and mind games and whatever games they may be out there. So it is from both sides. I want to also highlight that there are men that are honestly, you know, wanting, you know, a real relationship. But do you think it is much more than just wanting a relationship? It's how you speak. Like this gentleman just mentioned that he's honest, he asks questions, but he gets shut down. Do you think that, you know, is it the profiling? Is it, you know, people are not engaging with each other in sort of ways where we can actually meet for that particular purpose? Do you think that, you know, sometimes the platforms that we're using, we don't actually get to know the real person, so we lose hope when we come across so many people that may not really be on the same level as us with regards to what our commitments are? And again, before you answer, I want to remind the viewers, thank you so much for your calls, for all your messages and streaming from all different platforms. The number of the studio is 01924231083. Sister Naima, what was your thoughts on that?
Well, may Allah bless the brother with, you know, the best spouse for him. He sounded like a Yorkshireman. And you know how they say Northerners can be really to the point and, you know, just be quite blunt with things. Yes. What I would say really is, of course, every one of us is going to put our best foot forward, right? But it also doesn't make sense to kind of sugarcoat and pretend to be somebody that you're not. Because let's face it, right? You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And that's the truth. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you won't be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. But there will be a person who appreciates that honesty, who appreciates your sense of humor, and who gets you. And that's the person that you're going to end up probably, you know, having more of a conversation with. So obviously we haven't seen the brother's messages. We haven't seen what the honesty consists of. So we can't really give advice with regards to that. But I believe, you know, the Prophet ﷺ said that, you know, for everything that falls, there is a catcher. And I believe that, you know, not everybody wants somebody who's blunt, and not everybody wants somebody who's a smooth talker. But there will be people who do appreciate that honesty and can see the value in it. And really, at the end of the day, I think all we want, all of us, is to be seen and to be valued for who we are. So it can be difficult to kind of to navigate that space, especially when you're speaking to a lot of people. And you know, kind of like hoping that this is going to open a door here, open a door there. It gets frustrating. And I think that that's probably the dominant kind of emotion right now. Is like frustration, right?
No, that's so true. Actually, while you were talking, what I was trying to sort of also gauge from your talk is that, yes, a lot of us, it's not even about, being honest or not too honest. I think, we do get fed up after a while when we tried so many times and we think that's it, there's no hope and we need to give up, or we hear stories around us. But you know what? You should never give up hope and keep trying. And like you said, we shouldn't be here for everyone. We are just here for that one. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to go through many, many conversations, many, sort of like situations, but at the same time, you do not give up. So please just, hang in there, and inshallah, brother, I hope that, you will find that perfect partner for yourself. But yeah, as we were talking to also Najwa, and she mentioned a lot of the times that, people are not serious, and we are on these platforms which are normalizing things which is not Islamic, and, our Muslims are getting lost in translation. What are your thoughts on that?
I found really interesting what Najwa was saying actually about the, that need to be loved and to be appreciated, etc. Mm-hmm. And I often do try my hardest to kind of see both sides of the coin. So just as we women, so the younger sisters or even older ones or whatever are being impacted by the needing to look a certain way, needing to fit a certain profile, comparing themselves, etc. And then the whole hookup culture thing. The boys will be experiencing that as well. The young men will be experiencing that too. So I really think more conversation, more communication, not us elders lecturing the young people, but safe spaces where people can really talk. Najwa knows, we've been on a panel together before, mashallah, and it's so healing to allow people space to really say, do you know what, this is my experience, this is what I'm going through, and to make it possible for men to hear women and women to hear men who are, neither one is lecturing. We're just sharing, like, this is my struggle, this is what I'm going through, this is my viewpoint, this is what I see, this is what I feel. And then us as kind of, two genders kind of trying to work it out, realizing, okay, now I understand a little bit more about your struggle. I can be empathetic. And I can, and you can learn from me. And I think the more of those dialogues we can have, those healing dialogues, those safe spaces, it gives men a chance to also do their own work. Because we've had this conversation before as well, a lot of the sisters, especially this generation, I feel like they are just like miles ahead of the boys, of the brothers, of the men, whatever, in the sense that they've been encouraged to do the work on themselves, to really work on their personal growth, to do their healing work. If they've had trauma, they know that they have spaces and people that they can turn to kind of get, to heal from that trauma.
That comes on to something else, actually. Do you think maybe also there could be a double standard of parenting between the boys and the girls, and that's why girls might be strong-minded, independent? I'll come back to you on that, Naima. But Najwa, do you think that basically, your upbringing has actually made a difference, because boys seem to get away sometimes in our cultures, and that's why they never grow up? And at the same time, I want to also say that nowadays women are quite independent, very much strong-minded. The relationship need has changed, and maybe some men are not actually understanding that. So you as a young millennial, okay, Najwa, what would you want to see and hear from, men out there that would actually attract you? Because that's what they want to know. They want to know from, a young person like yourself, if they were to approach you, if they were to speak to you, what are you looking for? This is your chance to sort of give them this sort of insight and awareness. I know it's only from one perspective, but we're always complaining about certain things. So let's give some education here if we can, so that these people can get it right. And if not, we can get it from both sides. It's for both men and women, but we've got you on board. So, it's no point saying, okay, we get these mind games, we're getting all of this. What exactly do you want to see? What exactly do you want to hear?
Wow. Talk about putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. I should have warned you.
That's it.
That is such a good question. That it's a lot. Like, I think, for me, when it comes to guys, it's not a thought that generally crosses my mind. So I have to kind of dig for this. But I feel like generally, authenticity is probably the biggest thing.
Yes.
Someone being true to themselves is probably the most attractive thing, because it's that knowing that if somebody appreciates that, then they're for me. And then just that kind of sense of self-acceptance and being able to, just being able to know who you are and be okay with who you are. And a lot of men, I feel like, don't have a lot of self-worth. Maybe that's just coming from my experiences, but I feel like girls, a lot of girls have a strong sense of self-worth. They know what they stand for, they know what they don't stand for, they have their boundaries, they have their standards. But I feel like when it comes to guys, it's kind of like here, there, does it really exist? They're very happy to take whatever it's kind of their way, if the person is good looking. But it's more of like having some sort of standard for yourself and for your life, and how like what you want.
Looking beyond the surface and not being so shallow. We have a Facebook message. A lot of comments and a lot of views on Facebook. Thank you so much. We have Atif from Italy. Yes, for sure, it's about both sides. But that's nice. We do have actually a caller on line 1. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
No, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Welcome to British Muslim TV. You're live on Single Muslim. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I'm Abdul, and I'm actually looking for a spouse.
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm actually a single Muslim, and I'm looking for a spouse.
Okay, so you're a single Muslim looking for a spouse. Okay, and anything else you can add to that?
And
what sort of challenges are you facing finding a spouse?
Most of the ladies they emphasize on money issues too much. So I really don't know the reason why. And if you can help me with that to know the reason why most ladies are so money-minded when it comes to marriage. Meanwhile,
thank you. I understand that very well. I think your line's not that clear, so I will try and answer your question. We had the gentleman that called saying that, obviously a lot of Muslim women have a certain mindset, and I guess it's quite difficult to sort of gauge where women are coming from. Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate that. Naima, what do you think of this? I mean, there are a lot of men struggling out there to actually find, some sort of like, basically spouse, and I do get a lot of people asking me, and a lot of women are asking for too much. Najwa, do you think that is true? Do you ask it?
I think I understand why women ask or just want the security of financial safety. Like, I don't know why that's such a terrible thing to ask for. Obviously there are women who completely don't see the person and just want to see the money or whatever and just be showered with gifts. That's a complete different thing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just women seeking security and wanting some sort of like just a safety net, I don't see an issue with that. But yeah.
Okay, before we go to the break, Naima, you can tell me your answer quickly before we get to the break.
What are you bringing to the table?
Exactly.
Seriously, that's what we want to know. What are you bringing to the table? If you're not bringing in £5,000 a month, what are you bringing? Do you have skills? Do you have achievements? Are you going to help me and better my life? Do you have Dean? Do you have, you got to bring to the table? Anybody out there looking for a spouse who cannot answer that question, what do I bring to the table, and can I fulfill my responsibilities? If the answer to the first question is I don't know, and the second is no, then you're not ready to get married. Point blank.
Okay, no, that's really much a lot of food for thought there, and thank you so much. We will be coming back after the show, after the break. Please do stay tuned, and we do actually want you to tune in, and please, keep sending in your messages and your comments. We are having lots of views and comments on Instagram, Twitter, and inshallah, we will be seeing you after the break. Please call in 01924 231 083. See you shortly, and we'll take your questions then. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. We're back after the break on British Muslim TV, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com on Single Muslim Live. And I'm here with Sister Najwa and Sister Naima, both very, very influential people. Thank you so much. And the conversation's been absolutely amazing so far. Please don't forget that you can call into the studio on 01924231083 with any comments and questions. We're discussing, the sort of challenges finding relationships within millennials, which is the younger generation, but I think it applies to everyone really. And as we were talking before, especially during the break, it's about, men stepping up, men understanding their responsibilities, and parents raising boys to actually have that kind of sense of knowing that when they are entering into a marriage, a woman does have expectation, and a marriage, calls for that responsibility. So Naima, what were you saying before the break with regards to having, obviously responsibility and having, men step up to a certain extent. I know, we're not just saying about this financially, but I think it comes more than that. There's a whole package involved, right, when it comes to marriage.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to make this about, men need to do this, men need to do that, because, we've had those conversations. I think it really is a case of, you want to know what you bring to the table and know that there are people at all levels. Not every Muslim woman is educated. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. Not every Muslim woman is a hafidah. That's the truth. Not every Muslim woman is middle class. We have such a variety within the ummah of racial backgrounds, financial backgrounds, economic, educational backgrounds, right? So when people kind of overgeneralize and say, oh, sisters nowadays want ... I'm always suspicious, because I think, did you survey all the sisters on SingleMuslim.com? Yeah. And actually see what it is that they're actually looking for. So I think it's something that, as a man in this situation, you want to avoid telling yourself stories, just like sisters. You want to avoid telling yourself a story about all men, all women, all the brothers, all the sisters, because typically those stories are not helping us. And typically those stories contain a lot of limiting beliefs, and that is going to impact the way that you behave as you are on this journey of looking for the right person for you. So you don't want to bring any of your baggage into the search, because it's going to impact everything.
Assalamu alaikum. We have another caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Welcome to British Muslim TV. You're on Single Muslim Live. What would you like to say?
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am not going to rant, but it might sound like a rant.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, the challenges I've been facing. I've been on the Muslim marriage site for perhaps nearly a year now. I'm looking to get married. I'm not a younger lass. I'm 51 now, mashallah.
Mashallah.
And it's still as difficult.
51.
Yeah, but it's still very, very difficult. Also, I'm from a non-Muslim background. So again, it's been very, very difficult finding a spouse.
What is the difficulty that you're facing? I mean, are you actually, speaking to people and it's not happening, or are you finding it difficult to actually reach people that you actually connect with? What is the actual challenge?
I've met so many. I've spoken to so many. I've been on a few halal type dates. So I've met a few brothers. I'm so afraid now to call anybody brother.
Okay.
I say guy. Because I've had some really, really bad experiences. So I've met a few brothers, been on a date and such, but, perhaps not suitable, not compatible, or I've liked the person, but they've not liked me back, so fair enough. And I've spoken to so many other different brothers, and a lot of the time I've found that they're also very insecure. Or
that's what Najwa highlighted, yes.
Yeah. So I've just joined the program, so I don't know what's gone on. But and again, I would say really kind of.
This is a really, really valid point that you raised. When you say that they don't have that, I mean, what is your experience with that? What sort of a scenario are you sort of talking about exactly, which actually makes it very difficult for men and women to actually get into relationships?
The first thing I'm saying, straightforward, because I'm a real talker, and I say straight up, this is what I'm looking for, which is already on my file, which I've put on clearly. So my file is there. It's all done. It's all good and proper. And it says on it clearly what my likes are, you know, what I like, what I don't like, what I'm looking for in a spouse, which is very simple, you know, good manners and good character. You know, that's the basis. And a man that knows his religion. So clearly, if he understands his religion, then hopefully he would be able to treat me and meet my rights. I've also spoken to married brothers because I don't mind being a co-wife. But the first thing I will ask is, so why are you choosing, you know, why are you wanting to take on another wife? And the excuses I'm getting are like, excuse me for saying this, my wife doesn't understand me, or there's no love, or there's no emotional connection. What, after 20 years of raising your children, all of a sudden there's no emotional connection and no love, no understanding? And then once I make sure, you know, when they see how I talk and what I'm saying, that I know and I understand my Islamic rights and responsibilities, they disappear. I don't hear from them again.
Okay. Or, that's very interesting. Inshallah, we'll get some, you know, views from our guests as well as myself on this. I would like to go. Thank you for your call, sister. It's very brave of you for calling, and it's not easy to speak live on TV, especially to express your views and opinions. Thank you so much. Don't forget the number is on your screen. It's 019-4223-1083. Inshallah, we have more callers. But yes, Sister Naima, what do you think of that? It is quite heartbreaking to know that people are there, as even Najwa highlighted before you came on, that people play mind games. They're manipulative, as well as at the same time when she said that she doesn't even want to call them brothers. That's really sad to know, because we all have our rights. And again, I think it's lacking with the deen and the understanding and knowledge of Islam. And if we were to practice with regards to knowing that we do things with the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there is a difference altogether. But that is what is the main takeaway that I'm hearing so far. What are your thoughts, Sister Naima?
I feel for the sister. I feel for the sister. And I pray and I hope, inshallah, that while she's on this journey, just like anybody else, but especially reverts, older sisters who've been married before, etc., I really hope that they are investing their time and energy in themselves.
Yeah,
and
that's
what they already have, you know, and what they already have. You know, I can't stress this enough. You must be happy. You must live a full and happy life, regardless of a husband, regardless of a family. We must strive for that, you know, having a life of purpose, a life of striving, where if Allah was to take us, we would be like, alhamdulillah, like I rinsed this, you know, like I really lived the life that Allah gave me to the full, and I fulfilled the roles that He gave me to the best of my ability. Because the marriage thing, especially in those groups that I just mentioned, it may happen or it may not. It may fulfill your dreams or it may not. So we can't allow that to be the thing that determines whether we are happy or not.
Yeah, that is so true. And I know Najwa is very keen on this point, because you do work on yourself a lot and it's about self-development, and you've spoken about this. And it's so true, because a lot of women out there, they're actually holding themselves back in life because they don't have that partnership. And it can last even up to many years, even if they haven't been married at all, and it shouldn't hold them back. Or if they've had a relationship that hasn't worked out, in the end, it's kind of really destructive for the individual. So again, give me your insights on this, Najwa, because you're so, you know, young and influential, mashallah. You're so amazing to have that strong mindset from a young age, and hopefully whatever you face in the future, whatever challenges come to you, you can handle it, because, you know, we need more people like yourself out there that is into self-development. So tell me your thoughts.
Thank you so much, first of all. And I honestly want to send so much love to that sister, because it seems like there might be a lack of that, and it's really upsetting to hear. But it seems like, I feel like we kind of normalize this attitude in the Muslim community, that if somebody says they want to get married, like so much, it's okay. Like, whereas in other communities or in other spaces, somebody kind of wanting a relationship so bad is not seen as something that's kind of like normal, if you get what I mean. So like the same way I would advise a non-Muslim friend or someone who really wants to get in a relationship super young, and it's like, no, I want to get in a relationship, I really think I'm lacking something in my life, I would talk to them about their self-love and their ability to be happy in themselves, the same way Sister Naima did. And I feel like 51 is not too old to start investing in yourself and start doing things that you enjoy, like making your life something that you love. Do you know what I mean? Like, you never need somebody else to do that. Never. Like, there's never been a time where having someone makes life 10 times better. You know, it's just who you are with the person, and you can choose to be that person whenever you want. So I just want to get rid of that idea of just having that mindset of like, when I get married, life is going to get better. Yeah. And like, it's really difficult when you try and force something that's not for you, because it kind of breaks your spirit in the process, and that's what we're kind of hearing. And when I say not for you, I don't mean not married. I mean the person or whoever it is that you're seeking. Sometimes in life, like, Allah puts us in a situation where we're alone, and it's not to dim our light, it's to make it brighter, it's to make ourselves more full. Do you know what I mean? And like, that's something I'm realizing right now as well, especially with quarantine and spending so much time alone. It does make you think, oh my gosh, I wish there was somebody else here. But then I'm like, wait, why am I here in the first place? What is Allah trying to teach me? Is there something that I'm not figuring out for myself? All of these emotions and all of these thoughts that are coming now, it's like, it's time for you to unpack them. And I don't think 51 is too old to start thinking about what makes your life fuller just by yourself. What if Allah never gives you a husband? What are you going to do? Are you going to be sad until, like, what
exactly
can you do? You have to find ways to be happy by yourself.
No, Najwa, that was amazing and inspirational. And again, I'm so happy that you're on the show, to hear someone so young speak this way. It's really refreshing and it's so enlightening. And I think this is what we all need to really worry about. As I'm going to come to you in a minute, Sister Naima. Again, I want to remind people, please, if you want to call into the studio, it's 01924231083. Thank you so much all for all your views from all the different platforms. I do see your comments and everything, and inshallah, but we're getting so into this conversation. I wish we had another hour, really. But anyways, as I was saying, line 3, sorry, we have Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, Sister Aisha. Assalamu alaikum. Line 4. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. It's me again. Yes.
Oh, it's you again. Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Do you want to add to your conversation?
Yes, I do appreciate all those lovely comments that the sisters are making, which is true. Yes, it's me again. So, yes, I've done all the healing work. Alhamdulillah, I do a lot of self-care. I do a lot of mindfulness. I've come through 17 years of what you might call narcissistic abuse. So I've researched all of that, alhamdulillah. So I've really, really, really built myself back up. And alhamdulillah, I'm much, much, much happier, healthier now than ever before. So I just want that strong man. And the other point was this other thing that, say when you've been married, like myself, I've been married 3 times now. Mm-hmm. In certain cultures and communities, their response is like the shock horror.
Yeah, there's a stigma, of course, against
Whereas
it.
I haven't read in the Quran anywhere that there's a limit on the number of marriages you can have, but it clearly says do not go near zina.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you.
It's just about having, to complete your deen, to have your other half, and just to be able to enjoy a nice life. But, you know that your main relationship is with your Creator.
Absolutely. No, inshallah, you are blessed with, another permanent partner, and we wish you well in that. And thank you so much again for your call and your comments. We really do appreciate it. I think what we need to obviously understand here, it's, yes, there is a stigma against, people that are divorced, however many times that is, or, at a certain age if they've never been married or something like that. So we need to obviously talk about the red flags, because sometimes we can make the same mistakes again and again, or we choose the certain people as well, which continues in our journey to be in that way. And there is a certain point that we are responsible to a certain extent. So what is your thoughts on that, Sister Naima?
I think, just what the sister said, mashallah, I'm really, really happy to hear from her again, and happy to know that she's on that journey. And I would like to just, this stigma is so interesting to me, because divorce is fairly easy in Islam for a man, okay? Yes. So if divorce is so easy for a man to do without any consequence, why then are women who have been married and divorced multiple times stigmatized? And I believe it's because people assume that the reason he divorced her was because she made him upset. Yeah. She didn't fulfill his requirements, right? So again, we've put the onus on the woman to make them work, to make.
We have I just want to just quickly add that we have so many people watching. We have so many viewers on Facebook. And I just want to pick up on one comment from one of the sisters. But the thing is, we do find that, men are leading the way forward for, their families. It's just that women sometimes need to also be humbled as well as men. And I think that at the end of the day, yes, it does work both ways. I do want to come back and bring this, halfway as well, because it's not about just, talking about men being in a particular way. There are also women. I mean, Najwa, do you not see that sometimes? Yes, we actually have another phone call actually before that. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Welcome to British Muslim TV. You're on Single Muslim Live. What would you like to say?
I have a question for Sister Najwa and Naima.
Okay.
So my first question is for Najwa. What one piece of advice would you give to someone who's young and is demotivated from looking for marriage?
Good question.
And my second question is for Sister Naima. It's so many people are getting divorced at a young age. This is so scary. Can you give some advice on people that have been divorced and how to avoid it? What are the challenges that you have to take or responsibilities to avoid divorce? Okay.
Sister Najwa, you answer your question first. Thank you so much for your call, by the way. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for that question. I think the question was about feeling demotivated to get married, I think. And
especially to the men out there.
Especially to the men. I feel like with marriage, it happens at the right time. It happens at a time where, God thinks, two people should meet. And I feel like in the meantime, before then, it's about working on yourself. And that's about, just working on your habits, working on, some of the attributes about yourself that aren't positive, and just doing that and just waiting for the right time, maybe becoming a better Muslim for yourself before entering a marriage, because people often think that marriage is like the solution and people go together and they get married, which sometimes they do, but it can be a case of trying to heal yourself through a marriage, or maybe just telling someone to get married just so they avoid zina, which that people might think is positive, but I think is quite destructive, because you're entering something that is so holy and kind of tainting it with just your desires and with no aim of actually wanting to be loved. And I feel like we all have these barriers to love within ourselves, and it's about breaking them down before you bring it to another person. So I won't ever kind of motivate someone to get married. I'll always motivate them to be the best version of themselves. And then eventually, inshallah, Allah will send them someone. But
are you sure you're a millennial? Because mashallah, your takeaway is amazing. I'm so impressed by you right now. Honestly, so impressed. Thank you so much for your answer, by the way. It's something I would say myself. So yeah, no, amazing. Thank you so much for that. And I hope that helps with the brother out there with the question. Yes, it is about, as much as we want, marriage and everything is amazing to fulfill, but we've got to work on ourselves, so that when we are going to take on that responsibility of somebody else, we can bring, again, like Sister Naima said. So Naima, what was your thoughts on this? And I'm sure about the divorce rate being so high, especially amongst the youngsters. I know myself, I coach so many people that, they have this this urge of, even in the first few months and weeks of marriages where there's problems. What is your thoughts on that? It's quite scary. And I guess people that are looking out there, it's the same sort of feeling.
Well, I think if you want to get divorced after 3 months, then it begs the question, really, why did you get married?
Yeah.
What were you looking for? And if, like Sister Najwa was saying, if you got married because of your desires, you're likely to want a divorce very quickly. Because, it's true, because we know scientifically there is that limerence phase where the chemicals in your brain are altered and fallen in love with this person, you're infatuated with this person, but you haven't really done the very important work of deciding what it is you really want from yourself, from your life, from your spouse, and then seeing, can this person match me? Can this person actually grow with me? Am I really thinking long-term with this person? Am I ignoring red flags? Is this person actually living up to what my standards are? Or have I kind of been does everything overshadowed by the fact that we click, or he's hot, or she's hot, or, oh, it was an amazing whatever, right? And you're kind of in la la land. So when it comes to the young people marrying to avoid zina, which is a real thing, it's something that happens.
Yes.
Okay. I'm a parent, my kids are big. So I know that from my generation, there are many parents who have to make a decision where the children have come and said, we want to get married. Okay. And we need to get married. And you know what that means, right? The parents can see this is not a good match. This is not going to lead you in the long term, because we know that it's a thing. But then what do the parents do? Do they forbid them from getting married and then risk them falling into zina? Or do they say, you know what, at least marry for the sake of Allah and try and work it out. Let's see if we can try and work it out. And if you don't, then part in khair. So join together in khair and part in khair. Now, if that is the case, we are definitely going to see a lot more divorced people and a lot younger people getting married and divorced, because almost like they're having their relationships like people out in the streets are having boyfriend.
Of course, we've only got, unfortunately, Sister Naima, we've only got 3 minutes left. It's gone so quickly, and I really would love to have even more of your insights. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show very, 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 very quickly. But some quick thoughts from Najwa, please, before we end.
I think this has been such a good discussion, and going off what Sister Naima said, I think it's really important that when we discuss things like zina in the youth, that parents are, being very careful with what they let their kids decide. Marriage isn't always the answer. I think, forcing them to sit down and think about why they want to get married instead of just kind of sending them in that direction is more helpful. And back to what she said earlier in terms of conversations being a space for healing, I think that's so true. And I think a lot comes out when you communicate in a comfortable environment. So,
Thank you so much for that. Sister Naima, you've only got a few minutes. Can you quickly sum up what you need to say? We definitely will have to continue this show at another time as well, because we've got so much more to say. Please go ahead.
May Allah bless everybody who's looking for a spouse and enable them to find exactly what they need, whether it's with the spouse or without a spouse, but for them to find what they need for them to grow and become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah bless you all.
Ameen.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your insights and awareness, all of this teaching. I appreciate all the viewers for your calls, your comments, streaming from all different types of platforms. And inshallah, we will continue with this at another space at another time. But hopefully we've learned a lot today. My takeaway is obviously self-development. It's about also understanding your meaning and purpose in life, knowing your identity well, building your foundation within yourself, having the relationship with yourself even is most importantly first. Have that sort of like talk to yourself and, seek advice. And thank you so much for all your viewers for watching, and my guests, Naima and Najwa. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so honored. On behalf of British Muslim TV and SingleMuslim.com, thank you so much for all your efforts. And we will definitely be, catching up soon, inshallah. We really want to thank all the viewers for watching and all your comments and all the calls. I really appreciate this. Please do support. Don't forget to, look at SingleMuslim.com. It is still a really safe space. It's available on Android, and you can definitely, view it worldwide. And definitely, inshallah, we wish you all, inshallah, Single Muslim will be back after Ramadan. And we hope that you use the next, part of Ramadan, for your time to reflect and to build yourself. And we thank everyone from British Muslim TV for, bringing this show to come for all of your, but inshallah, we will see you soon on the next show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.